I did my project, World War I, then now, over trench warfare. The beginnings of trench warfare. During the summer of 1914, armies moved their weapons and storage to trenches on the Western Front. The Germans were the first to use this kind of strategy when Allied forces were driven back and they were forced to take cover. By November 1914, many other militias and armies were using this idea. And the picture shows the German army in their trenches, ready to attack an Allied force. Structure of trenches. Trenches were built within feet of each other from side to side. Militaries would use sandbags, wooden planks, woven sticks, tangled barbed wire, and a lot of mud. These trenches were just a bunch of mud puddles. The picture just shows a soldier and muddles of mud around him, trying to get to the other end of the trench. How trench warfare works. The trenches were structured in a zigzag formation so that opposing forces could only shoot within a few yards or so. Every essential line of trenches was associated with one another and to the back by a series of communication trenches that were built approximately perpendicular to them. There would be a frontline trench, a support trench, and a reverse trench. The picture I have here shows that how trenches were based off. So there'd be a frontline trench at the front, support trench in the middle, and a reverse trench at the end. And in the front would be no man's land, and then there would be tunnels under the trenches that would give if there was bombs, they would have a place to go to. Life inside of the trenches. The trenches were not a very sanitary place. It was very, very muddy and filled with rats and disease. The most common disease was cholera, trench foot, trench gum, typhoid fever, and dysentery. Most of the soldiers were very bored a lot of the time. Many soldiers would live down in the trenches for many days on end, and they would get shell shock, in other words, PTSD. Now, trench foot was this disease where the foot would get this bacteria from the soldiers walking in the mud all day long in their boots. And trench gum was this bacteria that would get in the person's mouth and screw up their teeth and gums. And most of the time, soldiers would just play cards and talk and write letters because there was nothing much to do because the other armies would just sit and wait for them to attack too. And the PTSD would cause them to go in this sort of mental state. As you see in the picture here, this person is in this very bad is looking very mental from the PTSD or shell shock. How I connected it to today. With Ukraine and Russia and a major conflict with Russia really pretty much attacking Ukraine. In other words, Ukraine is turning to strategies, and one of the strategies would be trench warfare, similar to what happened during World War I. The only thing that is better today is the conditions and technology they have to survive in the trenches is there. As you see in the picture, we have two Ukraines, and the trenches are not as muddy as they are back in World War I. And they have cameras to show what it's like down there at all times. But, yeah, what's happening over there is terrible. And here are my sources.